Welcome to another beach guide. Today we're doing Bossington, and yeah, let's start. So it's a National Trust car park. First thing I would advise is look to see if there's any pen matches on or anything, because if there is, and it's only this car park open during the winter, it's only this one, then you're not going to get any parking anywhere, and there's nowhere to park in the village, so you'll have a wasted trip. Come summertime, we've got the overflow. Please bear in mind you can't stay overnight, everything's locked up and people are moved off. Nice bit of camping, sort of camping seats and barbecue area there, should you fancy something afterwards. So there's some amenities over there in the block. Women's disabled as well, and male disabled's always opened even when the other two are locked. So there's a couple of ways to Bossington Beach. The first one is across this bridge, and you cut through the woods and you follow the trail up what I call Heart Attack Hill. It's a fair steep hill. If you're not reasonably fit, don't bother, it's that simple. You're going to go up about 200 foot very sharply, and then you're going to come down some slate, big steps basically, like really big steps, and you'll end up coming out down here on the beach, down by Hellstone Point. Then you want to walk back a little bit. So the way I'm going to take you is straight down the main track, and we'll come out by the lime kilns and the pillbox, and this is a flat route, although it's still not always a friendly route. There's a bit of a walk involved no matter what way you go. So parking machine is over here. Not too sure how much it is. I've got a National Trust card that I use. I know you can pay it by mobile, so here it normally flashes up on the machine, I believe. £2 up to 2 hours, £5 all day, so not too bad. Anyway, moving on the way out of the car park, just over here you got Kitner's Tea Room. They do food, drinks, and I'm not sure what the prices are like. Don't go there very often. Been there a few times, don't think it's too bad. And then we follow it round this way to the beach. So like I say, there are a few bits you think you might be able to park down here, but don't. Farmers need access, National Trust need access, and so do emergency services. It wouldn't be the first time a vehicle's been removed. Oh, got one wanting to come past now. So it's quite a nice, pleasant, flat walk down. You've got road for a fair way, and then it turns onto a gravel and sort of mud path. But it's always hard, pretty much. Sometimes you get some larger puddles down it, but I've never met it where you can't go down it. Okay, so we've walked a total of about now 250 metres, something along those lines. Just coming up to Bossington Farm here, which, should you be interested, is a rental place with National Trust. So if you're looking for a fishing holiday, you couldn't get much better in actual fact. Nice big place. Never been inside it myself, but always seems busy. So this is the start of the dirt and stone track. Again, this is probably about 500 metres, something like that. And then you're going to have the same walk on the beach to some of the marks, which I'll go through a few key points on Bossington. But it's quite a pleasant walk, and as you can see from the path, it's not horrendous at all. It's a reasonably solid track. Please note, everything here is National Trust, so whatever the rules are, they can get quite funny about it if you don't adhere to them. As it's one of my local venues, please take all your rubbish home. I'm fed up of collecting it. So over there you've got the old lime kilns and a pillbox in the distance. One of a few down here. There's quite a bit of history down here. You've got the old Coast Guard tower on Hurlstone Point. It's now derelict, but the structure's still there. You can walk up Hurlstone Point and see that. You can go through it and whatnot. It's quite interesting. If you're going to Selworthy Sands, you've got to go round that point and head there. That's not a very friendly descent. It's about maybe 80 to 100 foot scree slope, and you got like last time I was there it was a 3-part rope to help you down, but if you're not fit, it's not for the faint hearted really. Actually, I think I've got a video on YouTube with the descent down and back up. Done it a good number of years ago now for somebody, but I'll try and link that in the comments. It's on a slightly different channel that I got. So other bits of history down here, you've got the old lime kilns where they obviously used to do all the lime and whatnot. The American GIs built all of the pillboxes down here during the war. The Bristol Channel was heavily mined by the Germans to try and stop shipping. Bossington on the marshlands, I can't remember 100% where everything was, but there's been quite a few aeroplane crashes on the marshlands, and one was Albacore, I think it was, where somebody didn't quite make it. There was an American B-24 Liberator, bombing training, thick heavy cloud and fog, which isn't unusual for Hurlstone Point here. Was going to come over Hurlstone, was too low, clipped it, ended up crashing in the marshes. I know a bunch of American service personnel died that day. Somewhere around here, it might be a bit further inland, I'm not sure, I think it's Porlock, there was a Spitfire or Hurricane crash. And on the Red Sands beach, I believe it was Red Sands, between Red Sands and Porlock, or just on the marshland behind, there was a German Ju-88 bomber which crashed. Some of their crew died on there, and the rest were taken to Minehead police station to be detained there and held. So it's quite rich with history around here. Anyone who's a wildlife buff, you'll enjoy it too. There's herons, there's all matter of like water wading birds around here as well, egrets. You've got all the sandpipers, avocets. There's birds of prey. On Hurlstone Point, you'll see some peregrine falcons in the summer if you're lucky. I've been lucky enough to see them myself. Yeah, there's something here for everyone really. So, makes a change. Middle of winter, it's actually a nice day, nice and clear. So for all those that have commented on the previous beach guides, thanks very much, I appreciate the feedback. And they'll keep coming out. Today's Bossington, I'm going to work my way up channel. I'll end up at sort of like Stolford area, around about there, probably stop around that area. I'll be branching into Devon, so you'll have Linton, Lynmouth, Ringcliffe Bay, Lee Bay, around those sort of areas. Not to be confused with the other Lee Bay that's much further on. And might go down sort of Ilfracombe Way as well. I know all the marks around there. So there's a good few coming out. Like I say, they're going to be weekly. Ones that are a little bit further afield, they might be mixed in with a second in the week, or I'll try and keep it coming as often as possible. So almost at the end of the walk now, and then we're on to the Bossington main beach, and we can start running through some tactics and marks. So Bossington Beach in general, I think is one of the best fishing venues on the Bristol Channel. I know everyone has their favourites and whatnot, but I love it. One, because you can fish it all states of tide. It doesn't go out too far here. It still moves a fair way, don't get me wrong, it's a storm beach, but you can fish it 24/7, unlike a lot of the other Bristol Channel marks that we have. Certain areas of this beach are snaggy. You'll want a rotten bottom. It can be tackle hungry. Line pinch is one of the biggest problems here. People think they're snagged up, but it's not. It's actually your main line that's been snagged up. So I always tend to keep higher up the beach and keep a tight line. There's a little quite tame round here. You can feed them if they come down on the beach. Fed a couple of foxes here as well. So you've got one half of the marshland over here, and you can see where the beach blows out down there, that big dip. When you're fishing here autumn or winter, don't ever sit on that, especially during heavy rainfall sessions. One, it's snaggy anyway, but two, you've got an area that's about 30 foot tall and about 2.5 houses, like we're talking 3-bed semi sort of size houses wide, that blows out, and it all goes in one go. If you're on it, the simple fact is you're not coming back. So just adjust the microphone so we don't catch any wind. Okay, I've adjusted the microphone. I'll try and keep the wind out for you. It's always blowy here, unless it's like the height of summer. So we've just finished coming down the end of the track. The other path that comes, you can see the cut on the hill in the distance. It branches off that, basically comes down just beyond the edge of that green field, and you come down steep steps that are quite large, from your foot past your knee, large steps. It's low tide at the moment. Purposely come here so you can see. Like I say, it's a storm beach, so you can fish down here at low tide, but beware, it can be incredibly snaggy. But in front here you can get pollock and things like that. I've got pictures of Danny when he was young catching some pollock on a small rod. This is the old pipeline just out in front there. So I like this area during high tide. I tend to fish it only at high tide. When I say that, I mean like an hour before, and then over and back as far as you want, because it zips out pretty quick on this bit. But this bit of the beach is a little bit better in some regards than the other part of the beach, due to the fact we seem to miss a lot of the really heavy tidal pull here. This area here is very good for bullhuss. You'll get codling. I've had large eels here. Sort of normal stamp would be sort of 6 to 8 pound, but they go up like into double figures. Had them just under 20 from this mark. Took a guy out guiding a little while back, and he came in with a nice bullhuss, which we were out fishing for. I'll put that in the video somewhere. So what I tend to do, depending on the weather, which way the wind's blowing, if it's a westerly, I sit the other side of the pillbox. If it's an easterly, I'll sit this side. So you want the highest tides here. You don't want small mediocre ones, because it's just not worth fishing otherwise for some reason. You want the stronger tides here. So you're going to want sort of 6-7 ounces to hold out there. It goes into some rougher snaggy ground where you can see it getting dark, but if you get beyond sort of 10 yards of that, then it's a little bit cleaner. It's not too bad. It changes with heavy tides as well. I mean, at the moment in front here you can see it's been scoured out, and you can see like a sandy fine shingle bottom. So I'll take you for a quick walk down there. this one's going to keep me fit. So if you're fishing closer in, I find this is where you'll hit the codling, and you'll hit small bass running along here up to sort of 43 centimeters, somewhere around that. So just down here, it's a fine grit, which isn't too bad, and it leads on to cobbles, which leads on to boulders, but they're quite well fixed in the ground. It doesn't tumble and trap your line. Rig up heavy here, don't go light, and your snoods you want heavy as well. You want 60 pound at least normally. In the summer, you can get smooth hounds. If you cast out a really long way with a small rig, like a pulley rig and a smaller but strong hook like a Shaughnessy or something like that, you can hook up to triggerfish in the height of summer. So they're caught here generally, but I don't know why I've never caught one on the other side of the beach, just between this pillbox and the other pillbox, which we can see just over the crest of the hill there, just beyond the lime kiln. So anyway, enough waffle on this bit. So this is Mark 1. If you're not very fit or you're not as able-bodied these days, this is a reasonably friendly side of things for Bossington. So back onto the Somerset shingles, or rather cobbles. It's all quite compacted, it's not too bad to walk on if you take your time. On the other side of the beach, as you can see, it shelves quite steeply. Sometimes you'll have ridged shelves there, so you want to get your leads up quick and you want to get your fish up quick, otherwise you get something with a bit more size. They can hook onto those blasted ledges out there, and you can lose fish. I've lost a couple like that. I know a friend that's lost a couple like that as well. Anyone who fishes Bossington regularly, you're going to know what it's like. Right, we're back at the main path. I'm just going to walk down there. It's about 150 meters, and then I'll come back. Okay, so here we are at the breach. You've got the River Alla just coming down here. For those thinking that it looks trouty, you would be right. I don't mean the type of trout you find down a pub on a Saturday night. I'm on about the tasty trout that puts a nice bend in the rod. So this is the blowout. This is how wide it is. It's quite a phenomenon that happens, and it takes it right down to sea level down there. It blows it all out, and then it's normally sort of late autumn, early winter when we get the heavy storms and we got the flooding from the land pushing behind. So don't fish on this area. Then you don't particularly want to fish this area anyway, due to being snaggy out in front. Lose a lot of gear if you try and fish out in front here. And I've tried it because everyone always said don't try it, which to me always meant, is it a good mark? So I tried it. I've lost a lot of gear and never had anything apart from the odd dogfish. So it actually doesn't produce, and it's snaggy. Don't bother. Oh. As you can see, it's just breaking through down there, and here it's always flowing. So when we have a lot of bad weather, it's worth noting that the freshwater dump round here can affect your fishing quite significantly. So when it's coming through here well on the flood, you're not going to get much. It comes in, it drags it past all the way to Holstone, and then it sort of like chucks it back out and it heads over towards Porlock Ilfracombe way. It's a bit of a sort of whirlpool effect here. Don't ever be tempted to swim in there while the tide's flowing. It's super strong, heavy rips and nasty. During high tide you want to cool off. I've done that a few times. Grace the water with my flab. Anyway, so like I said, stone pinch on this side of the beach can be a nightmare. Stay higher up the beach, although it's a bit of a walk each time you want to go down to the water line. I find it's worth it because your line doesn't get pinched or trapped. Okay, almost past the breach. Let's get back up the top where it's flat. As you see, the water just coming in from the river out of there. So during the summer, stunning views from here. You see all of like Porlock, Linton, Lynmouth, that sort of area. All the hills out there. You've got Ivystone and then Fallen Point. And you get cracking sort of like African sunsets going into the sea, massive red ones. Absolutely stunning. So, anyway, we're past the breach, and the first place that you really want to sort of start fishing is around 50 to 60 yards past it. Then you're going to start hitting the fish. I'll show you something in just a second. When I get there, there is a channel that runs along Bossington. You can fish in it if you're a good caster, and you can get accuracy and on a bit of distance in the middle. So out here, try and zoom in on it for you guys. There is a line. I'm not sure if you can see it on there. It's probably about, from here, you're talking 70 yards out. As you come along over here, you're talking 100, 120, and a bit further on it comes in with a lot of jink, and then it comes back out again and heads out towards Hurlstone. So at that point, you're going to want 150, 200 yard cast. So here you can set up. It's relatively clean out in front. You can get all manner of fish: rockling, dogs, huss, hounds. I've had codling here too, bass. You can get just about everything here. During the summer, I've had mackerel, garfish. What else have we had? Had spur dog offer here in the winter. Yeah, there's top gurnard. I've had that before as well. Weaver fish, unfortunately. Not very often, but a good number of years ago now, my dad was fishing here and he had 2 in a row. Talk about unlucky. Anyway, this is the top of the shingle bank. So the first mark is about 50 yards past the breach. The breach is just back there. You want to be here. You're effectively in line with the gate in the field opposite. Oops, let's zoom in for you. It's like a solitary gate, just leads up onto a second field there. So you want to be in line with that. Give you some context. It's there. The main track runs behind there, and then you can see a downed oak tree that came down in a lightning storm. It got hit and then blown over. So that's the other mark you want to fish, which is a bit further along here, probably about another 70 or so yards. And I'd say this is probably the best area to fish on Bossington. So you got here, if you want smaller species like pollock and wrasse and things like that, you can use float fishing tactics down near Hurlstone Point. In the still of summer, you can get onto it as like, if you're reasonably athletic and you're travelling light, you can get onto the rock face and just sort of like shimmy along it, and then like sit on top of the rocks and dangle a rod off there. Not particularly dangerous, just requires a little bit of flexibility to get up there. I'm not going to go all the way down. So we're now 60 yards, no more than that, 70 yards past the blowout, and you can see the tidal line, the tidal flow out there. There's a crease line, and it's just starting to go out a bit now. Between that and down there where it kicks out again is some of the best fishing there is. A little bit further down, maybe 150 from Hurlstone Point, the gully ends with like a big sort of like a, it looks like a pit. During the summer you'll see it, when the sea's murky, you get this blue channel that runs along, and like it looks like a back of a thermometer. You got the long pipe and then the ball at the end. If you're fishing that ball, it holds big fish. Took a friend of mine there, Chris Wells, and he had a nice, it must have been 15 pound huss out of there. Unfortunately we didn't have the scales with us, but had a head like you've never seen, and it had already emptied its egg sacs as well, so it was a big girl, even though it was lean. So yeah, this is Bossington. Takes you probably 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on your fitness, to get down to this spot, and then you got your setup. Like I say, it's always blowy here. If it's rough weather, please be careful in a north or a west. A west will come from down channel there, a north up in your face. Combination of the two is even worse. You get really big waves here. They've been known to sweep people off the top before when you think you're safe. You get one of these rogue ones come along and yeah, it's not safe. So I think it's the biggest storm beach around here. I don't know of any are bigger, apart from the other side maybe in Wales. But this is Bossington. You can lose a couple of sets. Like I say, rig heavy. I always rig heavy here and I don't suffer too many losses. I use 20 pound line. I use a 70 pound shocker. Some people choose to use braid 80 pound all the way through. But yeah.